everyone, welcome to Table for Two. I'm Onzie.
And I'm the Elusive Bigfoot.
Today we're discussing our games that begin with the letter A, or some of them.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Games that we own or have owned. Not expansions.
Right.
And different versions of the same game that may start with a different letter. We're still lumping them together.
So, for instance, all of Flux, if we include that when we do the letter F, will be under F rather than their titles. All right. Expansions are separate. We'll do that at a different time.
Right.
Okay. And these are things that have stood out to us for one reason or another is why it made the list. And our last game that we mentioned will be our top one for that particular letter.
All right. All right. What's the first game up that you'd like to discuss?
I put down Architects of the West Kingdom.
That is on my list too.
Great. Oh, great. So Architects of the West Kingdom is a great worker placement game. The reason why I put it on this particular list is I really thought that having so many different ways of achieving the goal of making your goals, and the goals change throughout the game for yourself. You could have more and more goals to gain points, and I just the first time we played it, I just absolutely fell in love with this game. The artwork is great, the directions are beautiful. I mean, it's just really, I wouldn't say it's the simplest game to play, but it is a great lightweight to mid game, I think.
I like it because there are different ways to do well in the game. So if you can concentrate on building the cathedral, it can be all holier than thou if you want to build the cathedral, or you can concentrate on busting your people out of prison so that you have more workers. There's just different ways to succeed in the game. It's not all about doing one thing.
Yeah, and there is an element that could be a take that, or you don't have to play it that way. So that's Architects. All right, what do you have on your list after that?
All right, next up on my list is Abomination, the Heir of Frankenstein.
That is also on my list.
All right, imagine that we like some of the same things.
Probably why we still own it.
Anyway, Abomination is a great game where you play the heir of Frankenstein and you're trying to recreate his ghoulish experiments by getting a body to come to life. It's another worker placement game. You roam around a city collecting body parts and knowledge and gaining prestige and reputation and things like that. And you try to bring your body to life over a certain number of rounds.
Right.
And thematically, I just love this game because it feels like you're in the middle of a horror movie, running around getting body parts. It's all, the theme of it is so satisfying.
Yeah, I agree with you. One of my favorite things about this game is it takes place during an old period in France, in Paris, I think it is. And some of the references and the look on the art, I mean, it's just perfect. And it is a bit on the gruesome side, but what I found is that after playing it for, 15 minutes or so into the game, you kind of forget what you're actually trying to do. Is like, oh, I need 2 more muscle, and I need 3 bone, and I need some blood. But it just becomes resources that I'm trying to gather. So
you don't feel like you're actually bringing a body to life.
No, the gore part kind of goes away because I remember the first time I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe we're actually about to do this. But then, I mean, it's just so much fun. I do love this game. And we play it every Halloween.
Abomination, Heir of Frankenstein. What's up next on your list?
Next one for me is Aquatica.
That's on my list too.
Oh, good. Okay. We do have more A's in this. It just happens to be this is what's on our list. Aquatica is a game, it's a card management game where you have a certain hand of cards that you start with, and then you'll start drafting more and more into your deck. So it becomes a deck building game as well. You'll start buying these cards, but inside of that, what the part that I like the most about this game is that as you take a certain benefit from a card, you push it one further down. So it's like it's descending down further and further into the ocean floor. And I thought that is just a really fascinating way of playing the game.
I had confused it with another game, but I still love Aquatica.
Okay.
It was another water game. We'll talk about it in another video.
Okay, I'm not sure what that water game is. Okay.
All right. So in addition to Aquatica, I also want to talk about Above and Below.
Oh, okay.
So it's a card game. You're collecting cards to build a village.
Mm-hmm.
And I think thematically, your village has been destroyed and you're building a new village.
Mm-hmm.
And you discover that underneath the new village, there's a system of caverns.
Mm-hmm.
So as you're getting cards, you're exploring the caverns
Mm-hmm.
that are below the new village
Right.
to get treasures and benefits and things
Mm-hmm.
like that. And the artwork is just very charming. So that's why I like Above and Below. Even if I lose the game, it's
Mm-hmm.
fun to look at.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it wasn't on my list, but one thing that I do like about Above and Below is that it would feel like a role playing game if you've never done one before. And the way that it determines, when you're in a scenario, it's based on the dice that you roll and the card that you had pulled. It'll say, go to this section and read this. And when you read it, it'll say, if you do X, you read this next section. If you do Y, you might gain this benefit. So um, it just kind of walks you through as if you're inside that life. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. What do you got? What you
Okay.
got?
My next one is Abduction.
It's on my list too. It's
Okay.
actually on my list this time.
This time it's on your list. Okay, so Abduction is a game where there are these scientists who are experimenting on these ducks. So you are, it's like aliens. You have a bunch of ducks inside a rubber or a silicone spaceship, and you reach in, which these ducks are so tiny and they just feel so satisfying in my hand. And what you're trying to do is create a pattern. So it's a pattern building game based on tiles that you have. And I love this game. It can be a take that game. There's definitely times that you can, take ducks from other players or remove ducks from your card, especially if you see that your opponent's about to win. You could say, remove all the blue ducks or whatever. But it's not how we play it. Clearly, we don't really do take that games. But I really enjoy Abduction. It's an easy game that has a lot of strategy behind it.
And just the absurdity of it. It's playing Tetris with ducks, basically making shapes out of ducks.
Mm-hmm. The patterns.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I love Abduction, and the little ducks are satisfying, like you said.
Okay. I have one more after this. How are you looking?
Let me take a look. I have one more.
All right. What's yours?
Mine is Apollo.
Oh.
And I think it has a longer title.
Yeah,
but
it does.
It's Apollo, the moon mission
Yeah.
Apollo. Right?
Yeah.
And so it's a cooperative game where one player plays mission control and the other player plays the Apollo capsule. And
or Genesis.
You try to navigate your journey around the moon and back to Earth in order to win the game.
Yeah.
And the whole Apollo mission thing happened when I was a kid, so it has some nostalgic value for me. And I just love it. I love science fiction. I love science fact, and I love games about science fiction and science fact. So the Apollo game is super satisfying for me.
One thing that I really appreciated about this game is that there was plenty to do. It wasn't, if you're mission control, you can't do very much because you're trying to get the astronauts to do everything. No, everyone has a part to play, and it's a co-op game because we all want to live. So it definitely has, and it's a minimal communication as well. Um, I thought this game was very well thought out, and I had a lot of fun with it.
Yep. So that was my pick.
It's your number one?
It's not my number one. We'll talk about that in a minute, but that was the next one on my list.
Next one on your list. So how many more do you have still?
That was it. And then I'll talk about what I liked.
Okay. My number one game.
Okay.
My number one game is Ark Nova.
Oh.
So I really like Ark Nova. I love the fact that it's based on real zoos. We're here in San Diego, and it mentions the San Diego Zoo. You're trying to gain points based on building the most beautiful zoo that you can, and sometimes you gain points by having certain environments next to certain exhibits. Certain animals will give you points. The number of animals you have will give you points. If you're next to a food stand, you might get more points. Different types of goals will occur at certain times. You can definitely gain points by doing research and sponsorships. such a beautiful game. It is a bit of a table hog. So if space is a premium and you really don't have much space to play, this is not a game for you.
Yeah, it's really there on the table.
Oh,
I
it's
am a
there.
game. I am here.
That's right.
Yeah. My number one was Architects of the West Kingdom when we
Oh,
talked
okay.
about that.
Okay.
So I love worker placement games. I love the theme of it.
Hmm.
And if I'm thinking of a game in our A cubicle to
Hmm.
pick out and play, I would probably choose that one.
I think A is one and a half cubicles at this point. We have a lot of A games.
We
We have
do.
some that we didn't even talk about. So
So if somebody says bring your A game, that's what they
I have
mean.
like 10. I have
That's
10.
what
Which
they
one do
mean.
you want? Right. So
Architects of the West Kingdom is my A game.
so those were some of our A games that we really liked and our number ones as well. Tell us, what do you like? If you like this, like and subscribe. And we can make you more videos like this. But until next time, this is the Elusive Bigfoot.
And I'm Onzie.
Thanks so much. Bye bye.